family's personal letter to you.
So I'm finally back to finish up this rudder. I know it's been a while, but I didn't get enough measurements last time when I measured and checked what I needed. So yesterday, which was Sunday, I was able to head up to the canoe again. Had my brother sit excuse me. Had my brother sit in the canoe and see exactly what size we all needed. And so I now have some dimensions. So from the point here on the cross piece to the till, I believe that's called, from the till forwards is about 11 inches. And I will probably still put a bit of a bend in that if I can. And then the rudder itself needs to go down 20 inches so that it's in the water. And I want to elevate the till portion that he holds onto off of the portion that holds the rudder, so that while this is sitting on the surface of the canoe and he's holding, it goes this way, so that while he is holding onto this, his hand can go on top of the side of the canoe a little bit so he can steer a little bit tighter. Other than that, what I also did while we were there was I placed this directly on top of the canoe and I marked where the wall was of the canoe, and then that is that's just an inch out from there, so I can cut it off so make it look a little nicer. So now first thing I'm going to do is get these pieces mounted on here. So I just got to drill the 2 holes on that, and then after that's done I will start working on the till and then the rudder. So stay tuned. Alright, so I've got the holes drilled in there and in here. And what I realized when I started sanding these is these actually sit underneath on the seat. These are sitting on top, clamping the seat underneath the lip on the canoe, whereas the piece here actually goes and rides on top. So these will be like that. So they'll all be hidden and you won't really notice any of them. They'll just be the tops of the bolts on here. So it'll be the tops of the bolts sticking through on here, and then I rounded the edges on here a bit because you will touch this more than you will these. So those go underneath like that, and so I figured next I might as well mark off where the actual center is on here, which I shall try and do whilst recording. So, way to do that, for at least my intents and purposes. Naturally, other times are going to do it other ways. You just line this up. So you line up the corner of the 45 with the corner on here, and then the corner of the 45, and just mark it in. So now it's going to be equal distances in as it is from the edge. which is basically what I need. Now, I don't know, I'm going to use a metal, well, you know, a bolt, carriage bolt of some sort, probably. And then I will probably make it removable. It'll just be a pin that just drops in place, so that, like when we're transporting the canoe, we can just pull that out, take that whole piece off, and then loosen up the two bolts and take this whole piece off. To make it a little easier to carry around. So I've got to drill a hole in that, and then find the material to start making my till. And I think I found some material for my rudder here. Unfortunately, there is a lip on the one side that I'm going to have to cut all of that off, down the 20 inches that I need. So, on a good start. I may actually get this relatively finished up today. Otherwise, it'll end up being tomorrow. But either way, it'll be the same video for my canoe upgrades or something like that. I believe this is part 4 already. So, I shall get working. So of course I forgot to turn the camera and start recording. So you now get to see me drill a hole where there was already a hole. And then I just rounded the edges on that a bit, just to make the it slide a little easier on there. So now that that's done, time to find some more wood. Alright, so I may be making a very big mistake here, but I'm going to try it anyways just to see if it works. I've got what I wanted to use for my till. So bring that back up or take it off. And my rudder is just a bit thinner. Now, I'm not going to be able to get a very good joint just like that. So what I'm thinking of doing, what I'm going to try doing, is actually cut into the till a bit so that the rudder actually slides into it. And then I will do dowels or screws, whatever, into the grain, the end grain though, so it's not going to be the strongest of joints, into the rudder so that it sits on here like that. So I have marked how far this piece goes, how deep the rudder goes on here, which is to this line, and then I have marked where the blade ends. So if this all works properly, which no guarantee that it will, then on the piece here I'll end up having to cut the curvature of the blade like that, so it fits nicely into that other piece. So I'm going to go try doing this, and I just have to move the blade over a little bit and then cut again, and then move it over a little bit and cut again. So I'm going to give it a shot, see if it works out. So far, so good. So, gotta take a chisel and clean it out just a little bit, but very, very little. I'm actually surprised at how well this worked. And then I need to match the curvature in there to my board. And then this will just slide right inside. So, I know that's how far down it has to go. And starts to curve up right there. So I'm going to mark this out, cut that out, and then slide these two together. Looking good so far. Now actually, I want to cut this first, because I'm thinking I don't want, well, that'll be fine. I'll cut the front down a bit. So let me get cutting that out. Alright, so I've got, as I was just showing you guys, this is basically done. I'm going to drill the hole through the rest of the way to the bottom board so I can stick a metal peg through that to act as the pivot point. I've got, I'll mark out, or I just marked out, there we go, and I'll cut that out later on. And I'm now going to start working on the fun part, which again may or may not work. But what I shall do is find a 2x4 that's about 1 foot long. And I don't see one over here right now, but I'll find one eventually, later on. And then make a mold of sorts that has the bend in it like that, so it'll go from about here forwards and then curve. And I'll cut a bunch of real thin little pieces of the 2x4 on the bandsaw and then glue them all together in the clamp to give it a nice bend like that. I'll either probably use just a piece of this scrap plywood, or if I find a 2 foot long piece of the 2x4, what I can do is I'll take the one 2x4 and I'll just cut it in like that, and then I'll layer the second piece. I only need it to be 3/4 to 1 inch, but it'll be,
that's a good lesson for your home. If your home's divided, you can't be unified. You
cut
can't
it up real, and then I'll glue all those pieces together when they're wet and bend it, and then I'll clamp that and just let it sit for quite a while so I can get a stronger bend in the handle. And then that will end up going from right in front of here, in front of the hole, so I can drop the peg through still. And then I will cut on the flat side, so on the taller side, something similar to that, so that this is just elevated up a little bit higher, and then that'll go forwards and bend, forwards and bend, so that my brother can hold on to it a little easier. and it won't get in the way of the piece that he needs. So I'm going to go find some wood for that and start ripping that up on the bandsaw.